Kerrigan Advisors is pleased to share the results of our first quarter 2025 Blue Sky Report. The report is the most read in the industry, and it is distributed to over 12,000 industry participants in 35 countries. In this video, I'm happy to share some of the key highlights and trends from the report. As always, though, please do not hesitate to reach out to me personally via email or phone with any questions. I'm always happy to have a confidential conversation. The full report is available through our website, so please feel free to visit there and download it if you don't already have it. The first notable highlight from the report is the fact that while buy-sell activity remains high, we did see a slight decline in the first quarter compared to 2024's record pace. 94 transactions closed last quarter, and that's compared to 109 in the first quarter of 24. Now, that all being said, the first quarter still is annualizing at over 400 buy-sells. That's a 69% higher rate than we saw pre-pandemic. And on a trailing 12-month basis, transaction activity remains at elevated levels with 423 transactions completed in the last 4 quarters. Now, in contrast to the decline in quarterly buy-sell activity, industry earnings rose considerably in the first quarter of this year compared to 2024. In fact, 25 saw the first quarter-over-quarter rise for the average dealership's earnings since 22. This improvement in earnings is consistent with dealers' expectations that 24 was the trough in industry earnings, and that from here on out, we can project growth going forward. These results were also consistent with 25's Kerrigan OEM survey, in which the majority of OEM executives project dealership earnings will remain the same as last year or increase in 25. Surpassing actually even the results we got from the Kerrigan dealer survey last year. This demonstrates that most in our industry are now looking quite optimistically at earnings expectations for 2025. Now, the growth in first quarter earnings can be attributed to several factors, including improved new vehicle sales throughout the quarters. As you can see here, month over month, we saw an increase in sales compared to 23 and 24 levels. And that, to many, is a demonstration of the pent-up demand for new vehicle sales and the impact of the tariff announcements, which clearly accelerated sales in March and April. Now, as a result of growing new vehicle sales, while tariffs are certainly causing uncertainty in the market, they have not had a meaningful impact in our view, on average blue sky values, particularly as industry earnings rebound and buyers' capital accounts continue to rise. The Kerrigan Blue Sky Index was flat this quarter and remains 70% above pre-pandemic levels. These results also are consistent with our OEM survey results, where the majority of OEM executives expect blue sky values to remain the same over the next 12 months. Some of the additional trends we discuss in our first quarter report include the fact that we are seeing more single-point dealers decide the time is right to exit. This is resulting in a quite significant increase in the number of single franchise transactions, up 10 percentage points from 2023. Now, with the rise in industry consolidation, single-point dealers are increasingly deciding the viability of their business model as a standalone dealer is becoming less tenable given the lack of scale and technology that they're able to leverage, particularly in the most competitive major metros. Single-point dealers realize their long-standing way of doing business may not be viable as the cost of competing with the largest consolidators becomes increasingly prohibitive without scale. The largest dealership groups today, interestingly, those in the top 150 now have on average revenue of $2.5 billion. Now, that is 22 times higher than the average dealer who owns less than 2 dealerships. Another key trend outlined in our report is buyer demand for top franchises in the most economically attractive markets. To that point, franchises located in the southern regions of the U.S. are expected to continue to command a large share of the buy-sell market in 25. They represented the majority in 24. They are also expected to continue to command strong premiums, given that area of the country has the strongest population growth and the most business-friendly regulations. Now, the last trend we discussed in this quarter's report is the fact that more OEMs are seeking fewer, larger dealers in their network. This is according to our survey as well. We surveyed OEM executives. 1/3 of them expect they will have fewer dealers in their network in the next 5 years. Also consistent with our OEM survey results is the fact that we are seeing a rise in ROFR activity. We spoke about this in our fourth quarter report, and OEMs are using their ROFR right as a means to reduce their dealer count. Now, with tariffs still very uncertain today, at least at this moment, Kerrigan Advisors made no change to our blue sky multiples or our multiple outlook this quarter. We found that with the level of uncertainty in the marketplace, we ultimately don't know the economic impact of tariff policy yet, and so it would be premature to change any of our multiples. Most dealers in our experience expect the Trump administration will successfully negotiate a workable tariff solution by the summer selling season, and this will probably mitigate the ultimate impact on our industry. That being said, certain OEMs are more exposed to a tariff, if there is one ultimately, and as a result, we expect there will be changes in multiples once we figure out where the tariffs land. You can see on this slide that certainly some OEMs manufacture a lot in the U.S. and others have almost zero manufacturing in the U.S. In closing, 2025 is shaping up to be another strong year for the dealership buy-sell market. Kerrigan Advisors is happy to answer any questions on the report or discuss your plans for growth or exit this year on, of course, a confidential basis. Our firm is the only exclusive sell-side advisor in auto retail, and we have been honored to represent on the sale of over 290 dealerships on behalf of many dealer families, generating more than $9 billion in proceeds for our sell-side clients in the last decade. Thank you very much for tuning in to this summary of the Blue Sky Report, and I hope you have a great summer selling season ahead.